Welcome to the regular meeting of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee for March 14th, 2024. I am Katie Cashman, and I am the chair of this committee. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll. We can verify a quorum for this meeting.
Councilmember Vitok.
Present.
Osman.
Present.
Chavez.
Present.
Chowdhury.
Present.
Vice Chair Koski.
Present.
Chair Cashman.
Present.
There are 6 members present.
Let the record reflect we have a quorum. So before we move to our published agenda, staff does have a request for an additional agenda item, which is a request for authorization to file a request for reconsideration and participate in dockets relating to community solar gardens at the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. So committee members, you have a printed copy of this request in front of you, and I will move to add this item to the agenda as item number 20. Is there any discussion on my motion to add this to the agenda?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That motion carries. The agenda is amended. So with that, we have a lengthy agenda today, beginning with 4 public hearings related to resurfacing projects. Our first item on today's agenda is a public hearing for the 42nd Street East resurfacing project. So I'll ask Public Works staff to please introduce this item.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee. My name is Hazel Wolf, and I'm a supervising engineering technician in Public Works, and I'm here to present to you the 42nd Street East resurfacing project and recommend passage of resolution ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments in the amount of $34,607.63 for the 42nd Street East resurfacing project, and passage of resolution requesting the Board of Estimate and Taxation authorize the city's issuance and sale of assessment bonds in the amount of $34,607.63 for the project. 42nd Street East is a Minnesota state aid street bounded by Cedar Avenue South and 16th Avenue South. It was reconstructed in 1964 and has a pavement condition index of 29. Public Works hosted a virtual community meeting Friday, March 8th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. with 29 invitations mailed and 2 attendees came to the meeting. On February 8th, 2024, the City Council designated the improvements proposed to the 2024 street resurfacing program. The purpose of the asphalt pavement resurfacing program is to extend the life of some city streets which are not scheduled for any preventative maintenance, renovation, or reconstruction in the foreseeable future. This resurfacing program is addressing city streets that are at a point in their life cycle where a new surface will extend the street's life, improve ride quality and neighborhood livability, and help slow the overall deterioration of our city street system. The proposed street resurfacing special assessments were determined by applying the 2024 uniform assessment rates to the land area of benefited parcels located within the street influence zone along the improved streets. Information has been provided to the affected property owners in the notices mailed to them as to how persons may prepay the special assessments in full without interest if they so choose. City Council has passed resolutions whereby a deferment of the special assessments may be obtained by showing hardship for any homestead property owned by a person 65 years of age or older, retired by virtue of permanent and total disability, or military personnel ordered into active military service. This concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolf. Would you mind just answering for me what a pavement index of 9 means?
Sure, the pavement index of 29, it is a rating system that goes from 0 to 100 that rates the quality of the streets based on a number of different factors, such as cracking, ride quality, etc.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the closer you are to 99 means the worst condition?
99 is the best case scenario, 0 is the worst case scenario, so 29 is pretty low.
Okay.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. So with that, I will proceed to open up the public hearing. So if you did not sign up and wish to speak on this item, please see the clerk to sign up over here, and each speaker will have 2 minutes to provide testimony. I will note for those testifying, this hearing is not a question and answer session, but it is your opportunity to address the committee, to share your perspective and any concerns. And you're welcome to ask questions, but we will not stop the hearing to answer the questions. But after the hearing is closed, staff may answer some of the questions that were heard. And are also on hand to speak with you if you have specific questions related to your property. Are there any speakers?
Madam Chair, no one has signed up for this hearing.
Okay, so seeing that no one wishes to speak on this item, I'll now close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or discussion from committee members? Okay. Seeing none, I will move to approve this item. All those. Yes, please.
Oh, no.
Madam Chair, are we able to approve all of the items together? I think there's gonna be questions that come out of just the assessments discussion that I was hoping to get.
We could approve them later on, after we hear the other, public hearings. We could come back to the approval part,
Yes.
if that works. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so our next public hearing is for the 50th Street East-West Resurfacing Project, and I'll ask Ryan Gottsleben to give us a presentation.
Good afternoon, committee chair and members of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee. My name is Ryan Gottsleben. I'm an engineer with Public Works, here to present to you on the 50th Street Resurfacing Project and recommend passage of resolution ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments in the amount of $274,886.76 for the 50th Street Resurfacing Project, and passage of resolution requesting the Board of Estimate and Taxation authorize the city's issuance and sale of assessment bonds in the amount of $274,886.76 for the project. 50th Street is bounded by Landale Avenue South and 4th Avenue South. Public Works hosted a community meeting on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. with 115 invitations mailed, and 5 attendees came to this meeting. On February 8th, 2024, the City Council designated the improvements proposed to the 2024 street resurfacing program. The purpose of the asphalt pavement resurfacing program is to extend the life of some city streets which are not scheduled for any preventative maintenance, renovation, or reconstruction in the foreseeable future. This resurfacing program is addressing city streets that are at a point in their life cycle where a new surface will extend the street's life, improve ride quality and neighborhood livability, and help slow the overall deterioration of our city street system. The proposed street resurfacing special assessments were determined by applying the 2024 uniform assessment rates to the land area of the benefited parcels located within the street influence zone along the improved streets. Information has been provided to the affected property owners in the notices mailed to them as to how the persons may prepay the special assessments in full without interest if they so choose. City Council has passed resolutions whereby deferment of special assessments may be obtained by showing hardship for any homestead property owned by a person 65 years of age or older, retired by virtue of permanent and total disability, or military personnel ordered into active military service. This completes my presentation, and I am available to respond to any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gottsleben, for the presentation. And I'll now open the public hearing on this item. If you have not signed up and you would like to, please see the clerks. But we do not have any speakers for this item, so I will close the public hearing. And are there any questions or discussion from committee members on this item? All right. So seeing none, I'll move to approve this. Actually, we can wait on this one as well and do them all at the end. Thanks. All right, thank you so much. Our next item is a public hearing on the Beltrami Residential Street Resurfacing and Monroe Street Resurfacing Project. And Mr. Gottsleben, please proceed with that presentation as well.
Good afternoon again, committee chair and members of the Climate and Infrastructure Committee. My name is Ryan Gottsleben, and I am an engineer with Public Works, here to present to you the Beltrami and Monroe Resurfacing Project and recommend passage of resolution ordering the work to proceed and adopting special assessments in the amount of $1,237,235.94 for the Beltrami and Monroe Resurfacing Project, and passage of resolution requesting the Board of Estimate and Taxation authorize the city's issuance and sale of assessment bonds in the amount of $1,237,235.94 for the project. Beltrami Residential are local streets bounded by 18th Avenue Northeast to East Hennepin Avenue and Central Avenue Northeast to Interstate 35W. This project also includes Monroe Street Northeast from Broadway Street Northeast to Central Avenue Northeast. Public Works hosted a community meeting on Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. 646 invitations were mailed and 16 attendees came to this meeting. On February 8th, 2024, the City Council designated the improvements proposed to the 2024 street resurfacing program. Purpose of the asphalt pavement resurfacing program is to extend the life of some city streets which are not scheduled for any preventative maintenance, renovation, or reconstruction in the foreseeable future. This resurfacing program is addressing city streets that are at a point in their life cycle where a new surface will extend the street's life, improve ride quality and neighborhood livability, and help slow the overall deterioration of our city street system. The proposed street resurfacing special assessments were determined by applying the 2024 uniform assessment rates to the land area of benefited parcels located within the street influence zone along the improved streets. Information has been provided to the affected property owners in the notices mailed to them as to how persons may prepay the special assessments in full without interest if they so choose. City Council has passed resolutions whereby a deferment of special assessments may be obtained by showing hardship for any homestead property owned by a person 65 years of age or older, retired by virtue of permanent and total disability, or military personnel ordered into active military service. This completes my presentation, and I am available to respond to any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to proceed to open the public hearing, and if you have not yet signed up and would like to speak, please see the clerk to sign up. And each speaker will have 2 minutes to provide testimony. Anybody on the list to speak on this item? Okay, so seeing that no one else wishes to speak on this item, I'll now close the public hearing and have some discussion or questions from any council members. Councilmember Rainville is here. I'll recognize him. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just came today, Ryan, I wanted to thank you. I see Paul is here. Is Larry in the audience? Oh, there you are, okay. But you guys were great last night. I went to the hearing. Nobody wants to pay for a street assessment. And especially people in Northeast Minneapolis. And they asked some pretty pointed questions, but you handled yourself with grace and great knowledge, and I was very proud that you were city staff. You did a great job, and I just wanted to take some time today to come up and thank you in person. And again, great job. You reassured everybody. So thank you for allowing me to step in here and speak. And thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Councilmember. Really appreciate that. Ryan, would you mind giving us an idea of the payment index on some of the streets in this project?
Yeah, Beltrami and Monroe, it's one of the larger projects. The average branch PCI for this area is 46.
Okay, average. So how many streets are included here?
There's a decent amount.
Thank you. That's an interesting metric. Does anyone else want to speak on this item? Okay, thank you. So seeing none, I will move to approve this item. All those in favor say aye. I'm sorry, we're gonna wait and hold our votes on these items. Okay, so our fourth and final public hearing for today is the First Avenue Street Reconstruction Project, and we have Ole Mersinger to give us a presentation. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Ole Mersinger. I'm a Principal Professional Engineer in Transportation Engineering Design Division of Public Works. Today I am here presenting the public hearing for the First Avenue South Reconstruction Project. That's project number 6779, or capital project number 132. The proposed project consists of the reconstruction of First Avenue South from Lake Street West to Franklin Avenue West. Elements that will be reconstructed and replaced include the sidewalk, off-street bike facility, there'll be new pavement, curb and gutter, new planted boulevards and street lighting, and other utility improvements. The project will also include new signing and striping. And other improvements associated with this project as well includes the replacement of the First Avenue Bridge or the Midtown Greenway, and also some sanitary sewer line replacement as well. The total anticipated project cost is $30.5 million. And the total street reconstruction assessment amount is $1,539,390. This is based on the 2024 Uniform Assessment Rates and the Affluence Area Method for Reconstruction Projects, which is $2.83 for non-residential parcels per square foot, and 95 cents for residential parcels on a square foot basis. The remaining funding sources include municipal state aid, general fund, stormwater fund, and capital funding transfers. City staff has conducted numerous outreach activities throughout the planning and design of the project. A virtual pre-assessment meeting to provide an overview of the project and discuss the plan improvements and answer any questions related to special assessments was held on March 6th, and there was one attendee. And today, Public Works is requesting that the City Council pass resolutions ordering the work to proceed, adopting special assessments, authorizing the sale of assessment bonds, and authorizing abandonment and removal of areaways that may be in conflict with the project. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Mr. Mersinger. I will proceed to open the public hearing, and if you did not sign up to speak yet and wish to speak, please see the clerk to sign up. Each speaker will have 2 minutes to provide testimony, and I will remind folks that this is not a question and answer session, but your opportunity to address the committee, share your perspective and concerns, and you're welcome to ask questions. And after the hearing is closed, staff may answer some of those questions and are also on hand to speak with you if you have specific questions related to your properties. So with that, our first speaker is Julia Venata. Please come forward.
Hi, I'm Julia Venata. I'm here on behalf of 2218 First Avenue South, the Alano Society of Minneapolis. And thank you for listening today. I've lived and worked in Minneapolis nearly all of my adult life. I absolutely love this city. I call it my home. I had a script and I gave it to you and then I changed it. I'm sorry, I'm not used to this.
That's okay.
We recently received notice of the city's assessment for nearly $79,000 for the addition of the off-road bike line and street improvements. We're asking for this assessment to be waived or reconsidered. I'd like to take a moment to ask all of those in the room if you're aware of what 2218 means to our greater community. How many of you have heard of the Alano Society of Minneapolis? Okay. How many of you know anything about the people they serve? Hearing none, the Alano Society of Minneapolis, also known as 2218, is a nonprofit that hosts Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. We are the oldest running Alano in the world, recently listed on the National Historic Register. Our sole purpose is to provide a safe place for people to find recovery from alcohol and drugs and build a sober, safe community. We rely solely on contributions from our members and fundraising. The city of Minneapolis is currently facing an addiction pandemic, which leads to crime, homelessness, domestic abuse, and poverty, among other things. 2218 serves this population in a way no other institution can, and we do so without aid from the government. I know this from personal experience. In 1975, when I was first facing my own addiction, my recovery depended on having a place to go that was not a bar. 2218 was that place. Open 7 days a week, no questions asked. And my time is up. I'm going to close by saying 2218 is a place of service to our community. We need over $1 million just to do the improvements and repairs to our own building. Close to $2 million to meet fire code for the addition in the back. We are asking for this to be waived. Thank you. The full report is on your desk.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Darren.
Good afternoon. My name is Darren Olson. I'm on the Board of Trustees for the Alano Society in Minneapolis, and I just want to give you a little bit more information about what we do there. We host about 40 AA meetings per week, 10 Narcotics Anonymous meetings, a CMA meeting, and a Sex Addicts Anonymous meeting. We serve about 7,500 people a month, actually. The communities we serve, we have Native American meetings, African American meetings, LGBTQ+, and Islamic recovery. The services we provide at the Alano Society, we hold open holiday meals to the public, volunteer sponsorship and recovery and sobriety through mentorship, special events, and promote sober community events, opportunities for service work, and classes on the 12 steps of recovery. It takes approximately 8 full-time people, and we're all volunteers, to make this place operate and run. Our operating costs are approximately over $9,000 a month, again, which are by private donations and fundraising. We never turn anybody away. I personally am a recipient of 2218, and it has saved my life, and I know that it has for other people, and I hope that you will take this under reconsideration, because that is a lot of money for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Darren. Our next speaker is Robert.
Hi, my name's Robert Giancola. I'm the president of 2218. I just want to ask you to waive our, we can't pay $80,000 over 20 years. We just can't. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. Our next speaker is Mark Mahoney.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Mahoney. I'm a 45-year resident of Whittier, the most urban, populated, densely neighborhood in the city. Our issue is the bike lane that's currently there right now is poorly planned and extremely dangerous. I've attended to many bicycle accident car collisions on my corner of 25th and 1st. I'm not totally opposed to bike lanes. I'm totally opposed to how it's being done and the process and the plan of the bike lane. We need parking in our neighborhood. We don't need a bike lane. We need parking. We have the Institute of Arts, the Children's Theater, College of Art and Design. We're over 90% rental. The bike lane plan now is going to take over all of the boulevard, all the trees they just planted to replace the elms and the ash that have died on our street. But I want to know what are you going to do for the snow? Because the current bike lane now is you shovel your walk, you come back, and that special little plow for the bike lane has already pushed it all back up onto your sidewalk. I think it's unfair. I don't like the way the process has been done. I just think there's a better way. The other issue with bike lanes is they need to be the flow with the traffic. This is what's caused the accidents on my corner right now, because it's two-way on a one-way street, and people are getting hurt. So a northbound bike lane on First Avenue is one thing, with a southbound bike lane on Blaisdell. To me, that would be the ideal. And my time is almost up, but I just want to say, who's ever in charge of these sticks, these unsightly sticks that are cluttering our city streets, should be ashamed. I mean, they're just awful, they're broken, they're missing. What did humanity do before we had the sticks? We survived. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Our next speaker is Paul. Please come forward.
Well, thank you to the City Council for hearing me. I'm Paul Bigler with Commercial Connection. We have 2 properties in which we have on First Avenue 2506. First Avenue and 2100 First Avenue. I'm kind of here to talk more on the 2100 First Avenue, as we're in alignment with the other nonprofits that do a lot of services on the street. We have the Well Healing Arts Center, which is in that location. And we have a mix of nonprofits, Compassionate Action for Animals. We have psychotherapists. We have marriage counselors. We operate on a very limited budget for that location. I did also send in the email ahead is that our cash flow statements are showing that we in the last 5 years have not made a dime on the property, and that's even we were fully leased before COVID. COVID was a huge negative impact for us. It had a lot of these people could just operate from home, and they just did. They would put notice to vacate in. They would operate from home from Zoom calls. A lot of these psychotherapists and those meetings could be done remotely. And so we lost a lot of tenants. We went up to upwards of like 60% vacancy, of which we are still not fully recovered from that. We still have 4 vacant offices at that location. And we are still showing a negative cash flow for the building. We are also asking for forgiveness, not of all the assessment, but down to a level that's reasonable. The other property that we have at 2506 First Avenue was a $5,000 roughly assessment. This one is a $45,000 assessment for a property that makes no money. And we do help the community as well with the nonprofits that we have there. And it is kind of a large amount, and I think historically they've done it off of frontage of foot. This one is based on square footage. This is a large lot that we have, and it historically was a farmhouse, so it was residential previously. Now it's been used as a single office user type building, and we only have 14 office users there, roughly at $500 a month in rent, and only can go a gross rent amount. Can't bill those expenses back to the tenant. So we are asking for the forgiveness of roughly 40,000 of that, bringing it down to the around $5,000 that our other properties getting assessed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Paul. I believe we have one other speaker, Steve Horsfield.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak today. My name is Steve Horsfield. I'm Executive Director with Simpson Housing Services. Our legacy site, our legacy site is the former Simpson Church that was demolished last fall at the corner of 28th and First Avenue. And we've got 3 parcels that are identified to be assessed as part of the First Avenue assessment. And as I'm listening to the other agencies speak, I think that what I would request is simply if we could, we have just recently replatted the property. As some of you may know, that we are in the process of raising funds and building a new shelter and supportive housing at that corner. And at a minimum, we would humbly request that the assessment be recalculated based on residential property for all 3 parcels that we've had replatted to put together, as we are putting up a residential facility at that corner, and not have it be built at the much higher non-residential rates.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so with that, I will close the public hearing and invite staff to respond to any of the questions raised, or point out who in the audience might be available to answer some specific questions for the speakers.
Chair Cashman, Brett Shelley, Interim Director of Public Works. It might be easiest if you want to identify some specific questions that the committee members would like us to respond to, and then we'll have the right people.
Okay.
Come
I
on.
think one question that I have is what kinds of assessment forgiveness programs do we offer that folks might be able to tap into? Are there other questions? I see Councilmember Chowdhury.
Yeah, mine's in the similar vein around, is there an availability for a waiver? Heard about a reduction ask and then reassessment to residential. Like, are those things that are possible? And then I also was a little bit curious about deferment and how that ends up working.
Thank you, committee members. I think I'll have Paul Keating, who is a supervisor in our assessments office. If Mr. Keating can talk about the deferment options, and I guess I will add while I'm on the mic here, one of the things when we've been approached about the size of assessments, we can before council meeting, look at term, like the assessment term. That's one option that we've looked at in the past. But I'll let Mr. Keating talk a little bit about the deferment options. And then even how does that look once the deferment period is over?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Cashman, members of the committee. My name is Paul Keating. I'm the supervisor for the Special Assessments Office. The deferment option is available to a limited class of people. You have to be a senior, 65 years or older, retired by permanent disability, or certain
Can you speak a little closer to the microphone?
or certain
Appreciate it.
military orders. The deferment also has some other requirements. The property must be homesteaded, so it wouldn't be available to anyone who owns a commercial property. The assessment, which it sounds like the assessments in question would meet this threshold, need to be $750 or more in aggregate, so it could be multiples that make up that total. And the assessment must be for a multi-year term, which all of the ones that we're discussing would meet that requirement. The deferred assessment continues to accrue interest during the deferment time frame, and when the deferment ends, the original assessment and any accrued interest has to be paid. So that usually happens when a home is sold or the named deferred owner passes or some other transfer of the property. With regard to the term extensions, 20 years is the maximum term as approved for City of Minneapolis special assessments. The reconstruction maximum, or the reconstruction term for anything over $150 is 20 years, so we don't have any flexibility with that. If there is a clear distinction in the property status, in that it will be residential and it was previously non-residential, there is some possibility of reviewing that to see when that time frame happened, because we calculate these based on the circumstances of the property at the time that we're processing the special assessments. So we have to take a snapshot in time of what information is available at the time, and that's where we use the uniform assessment rate and influence area to come up with the special assessment totals.
Okay. Thank you. So it sounds like in the case of Simpson, there is an opportunity to review that.
Correct.
Okay, so you could speak to Paul, I think today we'll be able to talk to you about that. And hopefully some of the other organizations that are here can look at whether they have any eligibility according to the criteria that you've mentioned today.
Yeah, and beyond the deferment program, there are currently no other available options for reduction or relief.
Okay. Councilmember Chavez?
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I would just want to, before I begin, I want to thank residents and our nonprofit partners for showing up today. Last year, I had a similar conversation with Public Works about this. I had a lot of residents from Powderhorn Park show up because they couldn't even afford these assessments. A lot of low-income folks that can barely afford it. So this conversation resonates a lot with me personally. I had a question for Public Works staff. I had this conversation with former Public Works Director, now COO Anderson Kelleher, about what it could look like to address these concerns, whether it's more support for our seniors, more support for our low-income folks, what it looks like to spread this across the city a lot more evenly and equitably. I'm not trying to put Public Works staff in a tough position right now, but I believe my office we haven't met to discuss the outcome of those conversations. And if Interim Director Jelly, if you would be able to provide an update on the conversations that we had last year, that would be helpful. I'm really trying to get to a point where, yes, we have a deferment program that's amazing, and yet it's still leaving a lot of community members that can't afford these assessments out. So I'm trying to figure out where that conversation was left off, and if maybe Public Works staff has an update from those conversations.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez, and thanks,
Yes,
Director Jelly.
sorry, Chair Cashman, Councilmember Chavez, I'm multitasking over here. I'll say in my time in Public Works, the conversation about assessments is certainly a topic that's come up when you look at how we're delivering and doing the capital work, the important capital work in improving streets. There's a mix of funding sources. I think that conversation about how do we create circuit breakers for people that need it is something that I think we've made some progress in that conversation, but we do have some work to do. So we're not there yet. I think, you know, we as a department are committed to being part of that conversation with others, and that includes, you know, finance and many other partners. And it's not just necessarily, I think, the assessment program that would benefit from some type of ability to kind of be a circuit breaker program.
Thank you, and I will be clear for the public. My issue isn't with bike lanes. In fact, I think we need more bike lanes. We need them in our community. It helps our small businesses. It helps our city. But my issue is that there are folks that can't afford these assessments who are struggling to get by, and that is something that we as a committee can probably try to tackle. I'm bringing up that conversation I had last year because it was a big concern to my residents, and I resonate with folks coming to testify that they're struggling. I do have concerns that we have housing providers that are going to have to spend a lot of money on these when they're helping support our unhoused neighbors across the city in a time where we're struggling. And then I have one more question and clarification. I think there was a conversation about $1 million cost to a nonprofit. I want to clarify, is that $1 million cost to the nonprofit, or are we talking the $1.5 million that's attached to this project?
I can clarify that.
And I don't mean to overstep Chair Cashman, but I really want
That's
to get
okay. I heard
clarification on that.
someone who
Okay.
said they could clarify.
I mentioned the $1 million because,
Ma'am, please come up to the microphone. Thank you.
again, I'm Julia Venata. I referenced the $1 million because the National Historic Registry of this building has allowed us to apply for grants and assessments. And the recent conditions report on the building of 2018 is that we need $1.3 million to do repairs and improvements. That does not include bringing the back of the building back open to the public, which is currently closed because it doesn't meet fire code, which means we probably need to raise $2 million to continue to deliver the service that we provide at no cost to the government for the addicts in our community.
Thank you. And I guess Paul, if you wouldn't mind, I am kind of wondering what, you said there's nothing to offer for commercial buildings, but for a nonprofit, does that also count as a commercial building, like Alano?
If it's non-residential, so it's not actually a commercial, it's residential versus non-residential. So if it's a residential property, that could include some things that do have a commercial purpose if it, you know, houses people. Non-residential would include commercial, industrial, and various other property types.
Okay. Councilmember Chavez, did you have anything to add?
My questions were addressed. Thank you, Chair Cashman.
And Councilmember Chowdhury?
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I saw the director hold up his card, so I don't know if you wanted to speak. I would go to him first, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. I would like to ask the City Attorney's Office to explain this isn't the end of the appeal process for these types of assessments, so if Ms. Spohr can inform the committee kind of on what follows after this hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, Interim Director Jelly. By speaking today or sending us letters regarding the property, these property owners do preserve their right to appeal The assessments are guided in part by state law quite a bit, so there is a requirement that they have to show that there is something invalid about their assessment or that it was miscalculated somehow based on the assessment law that is out there. As the city attorney, we cannot provide individual legal advice to people here today, but they have preserved their right to appeal. They have noted their issues with their assessments and can take the further steps after this hearing if they want. Also, on that same note, I will note for council, because I think it might be interesting for you to know, that whether or not we can defer payment or offer waivers is actually set by state law. And so the city only has a certain level of ability to change that, as the state says when we can do that and when we cannot.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else want to add anything on this item?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just wanted to take a second to ask you in regards to talking to Simpson Housing between now and then approval. Is that enough time to, if there needs to be a readjustment, is there enough time to make that happen?
If a readjustment needed to happen, yes, sir.
Maybe you can move the mic up a little bit.
I was told not to touch the mic.
Oh.
Thank you for your question, Councilmember, Chair Cashman. The review process, it could be short depending on how many details are involved. I don't know the full scope of what I'm going to be reviewing, but the amount could be adjusted before the levy, which is in November. So I would have some time to review it thoroughly and properly to make the adjustments that would be necessary if it needs to be recalculated.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the question I mean to ask, and I think you answered it, is does us approving this action on full council impede the ability to make that adjustment for the individual if it was found that that adjustment was needed?
There would be time to adjust assessments down. If assessments needed to be increased, we'd need to get a new approval from council.
Thank you. And I will just close off by saying that I resonate with a lot of the comments that Councilmember Chavez made about just the inequitable nature of our special assessments system. And I know that we're not the first council to talk about it. This has been a long-standing conversation, and I'm hearing that there might be some state legislative action needed for us to figure out what other relief is possible, right? Especially considering the different types of people and groups that are impacted by special assessments, right? We're talking about an organization that is providing services for people who are struggling with the substance use disorder and alcoholism, and what does that mean? And so I would just note for this body and Director Jelly, I'd love to have like an offline conversation about what we can work on together, whether it's us figuring out what we need to do on the city side or what we need to ask for in the future of the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Chavez, did you have anything to add here?
I was just gonna make a motion. I think it would probably be a good idea to move without recommendation and allow for these conversations to occur before final action of full council. And I'm just talking about item number 4, not 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, so I support that and think we should move items 1 through 3 forward, and we'll motion to do that now. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That motion carries, and on the 4th item, I will motion to move it forward without recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, so that motion moves forward without recommendation. Just want to thank everybody for coming and speaking today and participating. And thanks to the staff for answering questions. Okay, with that, we will move to our consent agenda. There are 13 items on the consent agenda today, which I will read for the record. Number 5 is an agreement with Hennepin County for a pedestrian safety and traffic signal improvements on East Hennepin Avenue. Number 6, an agreement with Hennepin County for E-Line Bus Rapid Transit Project. Number 7, an agreement with Hennepin County for reconstruction of Minnetonka Boulevard. Number 8, a capital improvement program bond reallocation, appropriation adjustments, and revenue adjustments. Number 9, subordinate funding agreement. Number 12, for Metro Green Line extension, Southwest Light Rail. Number 10, MnDOT Highway 121 improvements. Number 11, prioritized bridge replacement list. Number 12, Metropolitan Council's regional solicitation and MnDOT's Highway Safety Improvement Program for city transportation projects. Number 13, grant application to Climate Pollution Reductions Grant Program for advanced development of the EV spot network and EV car sharing program. Number 14, grant application for Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Resiliency Grant for 35th Avenue North Flood Mitigation Project. Number 15, 2024 street lighting replacement, project design and cost. Number 16, Minnesota Public Facilities Authority lead service line replacement grants. And number 17, stormwater, wastewater, and community resilience planning grant for 2024. A lot of exciting things on the consent agenda. Do any of my colleagues want to pull any items for further discussion? Councilmember Chowdhury?
I just was curious about, thank you, Madam Chair. I was just curious about item number 17, if there was any staff available, the stormwater, wastewater, and community resilience planning grant, to share a little bit about what those projects are and what we're expecting. I know that it came from, this funding came from the legislature last year.
Yeah, thank you. Come on up.
Good afternoon. I'll just move this down if that's okay. Thank you, Chair and the rest of the committee. My name is Tony Hauser. I'm the Supervisor of Emergency Preparedness and Response in the Health Department. This grant is from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and the piece that we applied for and have been awarded is around community resilience. And so this funding, most of it is going to the community organizations that are included in the RCA. And the community organizations are going to be working with us to do community outreach and engagement in their neighborhoods around the implementing resilience hubs, which I understand is very, very broad. But basically, we want to bring community members together and learn from them about what keeps them up at night, what are their concerns, what are the stressors, so those day-to-day things that impact their quality of life. But we also want to learn from them how they're affected by shocks. Disasters, but also periods of extreme heat or poor air quality, tornadoes, because those happen in the city. Those types of incidents. And then based on what we learn from the community members, the plan is to do kind of some co-implementation of identifying additional resources or ways to address those needs around shocks and stressors.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Chowdhury, do you have some?
Yeah, I was just gonna say thank you for going through that. That's really helpful. I see like some amazing community groups, Little Earth Residents Association, American Indian Center, Sabathani Community Center, and the Can Do neighborhood organization. And I know that lines up with our green zone, so I'm excited to see what comes of this work. And I hope we can hear about it later when there might be an opportunity to come back to committee. So thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Yes, and we would love to have you come and present on some results on this when the time is right. So,
And we would love to come and talk about it, yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Is there anything else from the consent agenda that folks would like to discuss today? All right, so I'll move approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And the ayes have it, the consent agenda is approved. So next we have discussion item 18, Climate Legacy Initiative, implementation progress update, and we'll introduce Deputy Health Commissioner Patrick Hanlon to give that presentation. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, council members. My name is Patrick Hanlon. I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Sustainability, Healthy Homes, and Environment. I want to give a special thank you to Project Manager Luke Hollenkamp for helping put a lot of this information together on short notice with his own workload and then arrival of a new baby. So thank you. He's around the corner there. So this is a Q1 update on the Climate Legacy Initiative. The Climate Legacy Initiative comes out of the Climate Equity Plan. It was recently adopted last spring by council and the mayor. It centers around the goal of achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions in Minneapolis by 2050. It's a science-based goal and a pretty ambitious goal from where we're at and from where we were at under our old 2013 Climate Action Plan. So the Climate Legacy Initiative is the first step in hitting those really ambitious greenhouse gas emission targets. It's a $10 million investment in climate change work, and these are the main categories that the work is broken down into: green jobs and training, renewable and efficient energy, energy efficiency in homes and businesses, community outreach and engagement, planting trees, capturing carbon. Is not only do we have to reduce emissions, but start capturing some of the carbon that we've already put out there, or keep carbon out of the cycle. Local food and waste reduction, electric vehicle charging stations, administration and policy. And this is the work of a lot of different folks here in the city, a lot of different departments. So I'm just up here representing a lot of work that's going on in the city right now. And as the Climate Equity Plan suggests, the Climate Legacy Initiative also centers equity. Spending aligns with the White House Justice 40 standard, and that is that at least 40% of the funding flows to disadvantaged communities. In the past, in our previous programs, we've had this focus, and 60% of our funding has gone to disadvantaged communities. And we try to have standardizations, I shouldn't say we try, we have standardizations around what our equity spending looks like, and that is green zone properties. Those are areas, environmental justice communities that were set by the community, working with staff and looking at data around racial burdens, income burdens, air quality burdens. Those are identified areas of environmental justice. Our Great Streets Eligible Priority program that has racial demographic areas weighted into that. The Minneapolis 4D affordable housing that keeps properties affordable for a period of 10 years. And a list of other programs where people qualify for low-income programs. We use those programs to standardize our equity investments. I have 3 caveats before I go into the Q1 update, and this is maybe more for folks that are listening, is that I'm going to mention a bunch of contracts and RFPs, and there's a whole process for all of those things to have to go through city process. I'm bringing them here just so folks can see the breadth of work that's going on in the city right now and the types of community partners that we're working with, but was not intended for this to be an approval process of those contracts. And then the level of detail, again, there's a lot of different folks that are doing this work, and so I may have to come back with some follow-up answers if there's detailed questions. And then, of course, the only constant is change, and some of the dates on here are approximations. We may have to make some changes to programming, and that the Climate Legacy Initiative, to emphasize it, is the first step. This is going to be an ongoing process of investing in climate change, and so all of this work will likely change over time. So first up is our green jobs and training. CPED, Deb Barhelgen, Mark Brinda, and Brand Inglesby have done amazing work, and they are integrating. They've already done a lot of work around workforce development, and they are the holders of that work here in Minneapolis. And they are focusing on starting up new apprenticeship programs and outreach, and they have a an office that they are locating in North Minneapolis. It's always good to have those workforce centers in the communities in which they are serving people, especially when you're talking about people that come from disadvantaged backgrounds, to be able to access those services. So they have employment training, and they completed a solicitation process, and Building Strong Communities has been awarded the contract, and they are starting the new apprenticeship outreach coordinator position that will be housed out of the 800 West Broadway facility in Career Force, and that's going to be beginning in the middle of May. Then they have a Green Workforce Pathways program. Employment and training, their RFQ to support the city goal of eliminating racial and economic disparities will be out in May. And there's a Green Career Pathways program to assist employers with recruiting folks. So that's not part of the challenge is training people, and the other part of the challenge is connecting with employers. And so making sure that we're making those connections, and they have a lot of experience in doing that. And so the Climate Legacy Initiative funds a lot of that work. The next piece, when we talk to trades, we talk to educators, we talk to developers, we talk to people in the field, is everyone recognizes that there's a need for green career exposure from all the stakeholders, is so that people know that there are, especially as we start investing heavily in this area, that there are opportunities for wealth building and careers in this work. And so, again, having those centers at Sabathani and Renewable Energy Partners at 1200 Plymouth in North Minneapolis is having a place where we can have green career exposure, green credentialing and training programs, feeder programs for young adults that get into careers and workforce, but so that they know that that work is out there. And again, this is a list of the folks that we'll be contracting with to do that work, and you'll see from that list that there's a lot of people with experience in working in the community, and it's giving them the opportunity to build capacity and to grow what they're already good at, and build on the connections that they already have in community. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but Joaquin Thomas, right in the middle there, it does amazing work up in North Minneapolis. He's an engineer, he installs solar, and then on top of it all, he does training. And so it's supporting folks like him who are doing it all to have the capacity to go out and do the work that they do. Anthony Taylor's pretty great too, if you know him. He's they're doing work around exposing kids to outdoor, doing activities like mountain biking and hiking and all sorts of outdoor activities to expose them to the outdoor, and then they talk about climate leadership at the same time. And so that's starting at probably younger ages, but then getting folks exposed to all of these careers. The second piece is renewable and efficiency in homes. Isaac Evans, I'm trying to note the people that are involved with this to give them credit as we go along. We are looking at both expanding successful programs that we've had in residential energy efficiency, like that first item with doing weatherizations with Center for Energy and Environment. We just got news back today. Actually, we're trying to get a handle on, they said there's a lot of interest. We already came out with the first round of programming at the beginning of the month here. For 20% match on weatherization, 70% match on weatherization in the green zones, those EJ qualified properties. And for the first time, we're having, this is really exciting for me in overseeing healthy homes and energy efficiency work, is we have triple pane windows will be included as part of the incentives for pre-1978 homes. And so that means that there is a Venn diagram between getting rid of, those will typically be windows that have lead. They're really inefficient windows, but also more likely to have lead. So we'll have, for the first time, an incentive program that helps us get rid of those windows. The remaining balance can be covered through CEE and with no credit score limit. They still go through the process of applying, but there's no credit score limit. And so that covers the remainder of the loan. And in a lot of cases, that remainder loan is less than the savings that they're actually going to get. So the savings will cover the cost of the loan, especially in those green zone property areas. And then it also includes pre-weatherization. So when they go in and there's construction issues, there's things called knob and tube wiring, old wiring that they need to take care of. We could include that as part of the incentives that we put into these homes. So it's helping people cover some safety issues, some healthy homes, some the quality of housing that they have as well. And then we're, as I mentioned, that's been a successful program. We're building off that. We're also looking at pilot projects for doing a block-by-block approach, weatherization with cooperative energy features. They've gotten some grants and they are building out that program. And as soon as they're ready to go, we will be going into contract with them to start that block by block approach. Entering into a contract, we're really excited about this with Frontier Energy that will focus solely on low-income properties and especially getting at programs that can assist renters. We'll continue funding for the 4D and multifamily projects. We have some links in this presentation when it goes out, that links to some of the videos and it links to some of the resources that I'm talking about here. And then we're looking forward to partnering with our Enrique Velasquez and his team over in Reg Services and getting resources out to their rental property units as well. The second part of number 2 is working with businesses, and I just put the truth about small businesses is one thing that people don't realize is that most small business owners, especially when they're starting out, are low income qualified. And so this is getting resources out to those small business owners out in your communities. I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of those names, getting them the resources to save money as well. And then we're working with CE and CPAD on 0% loan programs. Hopefully that will be coming out in June, July. And then we're expanding the green cost share grants where we've already been really successful in working with folks, partnering with people like the Chamber of Commerce Energy Smart program and getting resources out to small businesses. And then in order to hit those really aggressive targets, we focus on equity first. Most of the funding is going into equity, but we also need to have some programs and projects that get at some really big greenhouse gas reduction. So right now, actually, we have an RFP out, is $500,000 for single projects or portfolios of buildings. We've been restricted in the past of going above our $175,000 limit for working with one entity, and so this allows us to go above that limit. We still tie it to greenhouse gas reduction targets, so we need to deliver on results, and it allows for innovation. So those are out right now, and they close March 21st. Electric bikes and vehicles, we have pilots that are going to be going out. We know this is an area that we want to move into, and we started out with some funding for pilot work. We're likely to start in a smaller geographic area of the city, and then we will scale citywide. And we're trying to align that program with the state rebate program as well. Item number 3 is community outreach and engagement. Kim Havey with sustainability is doing a great job on this, designing materials, having press packets for some of our neighborhood groups so that they can go out in their community and they can talk to people about all these programs and resources that are out there that they may not be familiar with. And so those are some of the dates on the different contracting processes that we're going through, starting out with 7 neighborhood organizations, and then we're going to move into, after we get a little experience there, move into culturally specific organizations. And Steve Gallagher with NCR has been great with that work as well. Kelly Muehlman and Sydney Schaaf with the tree program are doing lots of work around trees. There's a lot of funding in the Climate Legacy Initiative for planting of trees. They just got an $8 million grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture for tree removal focus in North Minneapolis and South Minneapolis to help folks with the very big burden as these ash trees come down, to help them replace those trees. We have the City Tree Program is going on right now. There's a link there. There should be in the newsletter that goes out to all of you. There's links for that. So please tell folks about the distribution event. We'll be increasing that from 2,000 trees in the past to now we're doubling that. So we're planting 4,000 trees or giving out 4,000 trees at that event. So that should be a good time. We're also doubling the number of trees in our commercial tree planting program from 250 to 500. There's an enormous amount of capacity for commercial properties to plant more trees in Minneapolis, and that's one of the areas where we don't have a lot of programs, so we're going to be looking to expand that program. And then down below, you'll see a project coordinator, and then to help manage the $8 million and all of the different work that's going on there, and then also having a focus on watering. We have high levels of mortality when we don't have watering, especially in the first few months when those trees are planted, so having a program where we go back and assist folks with watering. Local food and waste reduction, Allison Babb has been just fast out of the gate with this work, those are all of the community partners that she's working with. She set up mini grants around urban agriculture, and you'll probably recognize a lot of the names that are in that group as well. A lot of fun and exciting work that's going on around local food production. She's also working with a few folks on garden space and hoop houses to allow longer growing seasons here in Minneapolis. Number 5 is capturing carbon and storing it through biochar. That is on the upper right-hand corner. That is actually our pyrolyzer. We're going to be creating biochar. Biochar is a soil amendment that sequesters carbon for between 2,000 and 3,000 years. It also helps improve soil quality between 10 and 30%, depending on what you're planting with. We partner with Metawakan and Sioux community, with Excel Energy, MnDOT, Hennepin County. We have a host of partners. We've done a number of planting site or gardening sites throughout the last 10 years with this program. And we've been purchasing the biochar from a place in Missouri, which is not a sustainable model. So we're now going to be producing our own biochar with wood waste from the metro area here. And so the funding for the Climate Legacy Initiative has allowed us to have staff, so we have capacity to run that program. And as you can see in the 2 pictures in the lower right, that is the site development. We're working with Stantec in having preliminary site design, site prep with Public Works, acquiring the equipment. This is not an area that the health department usually engages in. So Public Works has been incredibly helpful in going through all of that process. Construction will likely start in July and then commissioning in September, and we will be producing biochar here in Minneapolis, one of 3 cities in the United States doing that in October. Marketing is another piece. Working in local government, we tend to be good at doing outreach and outreach events. We don't tend to not be as good in the marketing end. We have a lot of talented folks here, so it's not a slight on anyone who have marketing skills. But this is a this is a contract to help us out with marketing, and so that people are aware of all of these amazing resources that you've all made available to them. So that information is out there right now, and it actually closes tomorrow. Electric vehicle charging, Public Works. Brett Jelly has been an integral part of the Climate Legacy Initiative and getting all of this work off the ground. Dylan Freed is overseeing a lot of that work. There's some of the timelines involved with the electric charging work that's going on. This is really an area that we are, as I think you passed something in the consent decree today as well, this is just an area we're going to see a lot of transition to electric vehicles here in Minneapolis, and we have to have the infrastructure that supports people that are driving all of those vehicles. Administration, there was one area that I wanted to highlight, so I literally just highlighted it in the presentation here, is a lot of folks, and I know there's people behind me here with MN350 and the coalition of partners, but to ensure that we have a process for community input into this work. And so we actually have an RFP that's going out, or that went out, and we have a contractor that will help facilitate that work. So bringing those voices together, as we didn't have the capacity within staff. And so we'll be going out with a contractor to bring our North Side Green Zone, South Side Green Zone, Energy Visioning Advisory Committee, all of these different groups that are out there that are really key stakeholders in this work, and bring their voices together and to get feedback on all of these programs. We have the Director of Climate Action, Equity Action. That position just passed last week. We'll be putting that out soon. That'll help facilitate some of our organizational capacity so that we can start operating as a combined entity in addressing and hitting these really aggressive greenhouse gas emission targets. Data reporting position so that we have someone that can show the results of this work when we're done at the end of the year, and going into the next year to really look at our results and look at where we need to be heading. And then there's also a Healthy Homes Weatherization Program Coordinator to help coordinate some of the weatherization work that we're doing. Intergovernment relations, I mentioned the citywide approach. There is a lot of money coming down through the Inflation Reduction Act, through the IIJA funding that you all are dealing with and looking at. And so this is tracking citywide grants. Lindsay Erdman, through Finance and Property Services, is doing great work around this and bringing folks across the enterprise together and tracking all of the opportunities that are out there for us. I know in the health department alone, we're tracking 11 different grants, and they're contracting with Stantec and Baker Tilly to bring in some really specific expertise around some direct install opportunities that the city has. Leverage, that's one of the main pieces of the Climate Legacy Initiative, is to leverage, to be able to use this money for much more funding and bring opportunities into the city. In the past, we've been able to leverage $120 million in green investments through the city, state, federal, utility, and private investments. We have over $175 million in lifetime savings for residents and businesses, and that was operating with a couple $1 million a year. And so having these increased investments, we're going to be leveraging more investment and more savings for people here in the city. And then on the horizon, we have the CPRG. We have a $10 million decarbonization in residential property grant that we're working with the MPCA on right now. That'll get funding out, especially to folks in North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis. And then Public Works is putting together a $25 million grant request in collaboration with St. Paul through that same CPRG. So there's just a tremendous amount of resources that are out there that the Climate Legacy Initiative has really put us in a position to be able to leverage into the city. This is where we're at in terms of our, I mentioned all of these things. We have 43 different tactics that are out there, and those are some of the items that I just mentioned. We have 74% of our tactics in motion. 93% of those tactics are planned. We have over 125 contracts that are being developed right now out of this work. $2.5 million in contracts that are dedicated so that we have projects that are ready to go. And then 417, just in our Q1, just the first round of our Green Cost Share program is 417 low-income households, and we haven't even received our feedback from Center for Energy and Environment, which is targeted for at some of the low-income neighborhoods. This is just an example of a cross-section. I was going to show you a full timeline, and it's a giant document, and so this just gives you a cross-section of how we're tracking all of these different items as they're coming out and all of these new programs that we're putting out there. And then at the end of the year, I mentioned data and tracking we have a lot of ways that we track data right now, and so bringing all of this information together and gearing it towards and targeting at that science-based greenhouse gas reduction target that we have for the city. And so how does all of this work line up and really start moving the needle on our greenhouse gas reductions? And then I just added this is the kind of the model that we look at is that 2024 is creating the new climate programs. We're creating the scaffolding at which we can scale. And so 2025 is really looking at those programs and how do we refine them? How do we move some of this funding around where we see gaps or where we see areas that were successful? And then 2026, we look at as a timeline where we'll have a lot of experience, we'll have a lot of partnerships, all of the machine will be built where we can really scale and look at how do we utilize even more city, state, federal utility programs to grow. And then I just included that on here, and so that they are inverses of each other, is that as our effort grows, that we are driving down those greenhouse gas emissions here in the city. That's what I had for the presentation, and I can stand for questions.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner, for the presentation. I was so looking forward to this, and I know a lot of community members were as well. I will just mention for the public that this is now posted on LIMS. So if you want to refer back to the presentation, it's there now. And I will also ask, before we have discussion, if Clerk, could you please tell the group about how to access the public comment period that will be opening up on this, where folks can maybe submit questions, comments, or ideas around what they heard presented today?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Cashman. So the on your agenda is also included scheduling a public comment period that will occur at our next Climate and Infrastructure meeting, which is scheduled for March 28th at 1:30. For folks who may want to submit written comments either instead of or in addition to coming to that meeting to testify, there are multiple ways to submit those comments. People can always directly contact their council members or elected officials with those comments. But for comments to be included in the public record, the best way to submit those is through the city's website, which is minneapolismn.gov/public comment. There's a form there where people can submit comments with or without personal information included. So we always recommend people submit comments that way, then they can ensure that their contact information is not included in the public record. So again, I'll restate that address, minneapolismn.gov/public comment.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's helpful for for folks to know where they can weigh in. And I know that if they do submit in that way, that the council members do get that information. Staff also has access to those comments. So thank you again for the presentation. I have a question about really the budget side of things, which is the $10 million Climate Legacy Initiative investment. How much of that has been spent, and maybe you could speak to like what are the sources of that funding?
Sure, that's a question I'll probably have to get back to you on. There's contracts that we have out that have capacity of contracts, and we put out the RFPs, then we set up contracts that gives us the capacity. Then we have other projects that are, like the Green Cost Share program, where we have a specific project and they're asking for a specific amount of dollars. So there's a little bit of mixing of encumbered contracts that we have with folks where service hasn't gotten out yet, and then contracts that are shovel ready and are ready to go, and we have sort of a more committed number, so I can break some of that down. And then we have staff that we're looking at hiring on, and so there's just different levels of spending. So I'm not tracking at this moment right where the amount of dollars that we've spent.
Okay, thank you. And it would be great to find that out, when you're able to. And then the sources of the $10 million funding, can you speak to, how that money is generated? And maybe, Vice Chair Koski can also speak to that as well as the budget chair.
Chair Cashman, council members, the funding for this comes from two sources. There's the franchise fees, which is a fee that's put onto on top of utility bills for folks in their center point, their gas bill, and then their electric bill. That most of that funding goes towards, in any city, it goes towards right-of-way projects. It's a way of addressing roadwork project, and the city took an innovative approach in applying some of that funding towards climate funding, and so that's what funded the Climate Legacy Initiative. And then the second source is our pollution control and annual registrations, where we charge for pieces of equipment or practices that have the potential to emit pollution or that do pollute pollution. So we charge for direct emissions into our city.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from colleagues? Vice Chair Koski?
Excuse me. Thank you, Chair Cashman. I just no questions today, but just want to say thank you so much to you and your staff. This was just an incredible report. I know I'm already being asked from individuals, some that are in the room here today, about what more are we going to be continuing to do, and I'm just really excited to be able to share this today, because I think it really shows that we are off to a good start, and that's what we knew this to be, that this is just a start, and we know we have more to continue to do, but this has just been a really incredible way to present this information. It's really easy for, I believe, residents to see, what you're doing, where you're going, what the plan is, how we're marketing this, and like you use that word, like the fact that we're marketing and going to be marketing this to make sure that our residents know how to be able to be interacting with all these programs is pretty incredible. So just a huge thank you to your team, and I'm really excited to get the word out for the comment period, and I'm excited to hear from Ward 11 residents about what they are thinking, and making sure that we're continuing to listen to the voices of our community through this process. But job well done, and excited to continue to work with you for the rest of this year on this. So,
thank you, Vice Chair Koski.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your presentation. Seeing no further discussion, I'll direct the clerk to file that report and move to schedule a public comment period for our next meeting, scheduled for March 28th at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. We will have a public comment period at our next meeting. For members of the public who are unable to attend March 28th or prefer to submit comments in writing, you can share comments on the city's website. As our clerk mentioned, minneapolismn.gov/public comment. Okay, so next item is number 19. It's our 2024 through 2025 Climate and Infrastructure Committee work plan, which I will present with Vice Chair Koski. And thank you so much, MJ, for sharing the slides here today. right, so for the Climate Infrastructure Committee work plan, this is a 2-year work plan for the upcoming term. If you've been following along in other committee council meetings, you'll be aware that we are adopting work plans for each of our committees to help organize large amounts of work that committees are responsible for having oversight over. So in that spirit, today we're here to talk about the C&I committee work plan. And Vice Chair Koski, since you were on the council last year, I'd invite you to speak a little bit about why work plans are useful and why we're doing this.
Well, thank you, Chair Cashman. Yes, happy to speak a little bit to that. You know, a work plan really helps give the committee and residents an understanding of what the roadmap for this committee and the work that you would expect for us to be doing. And it really is about making sure that we're transparent. I know Chair Cashman is going to go into the process in which we got here, but the real goal is to really make sure that we're connecting with all of you and making sure that you see that we have goals and that we are making sure that we are moving and what kind of work that we're going to be moving through this committee and making sure that it's interactive with all of you as residents too.
Okay, so the goals here are to develop and implement strategies to address climate and infrastructure issues, and this is the first time we've had a climate and infrastructure committee, so adding that to the title is meaningful for me because as you could see from the presentation, we have a historic investment in climate action as a city, so having a place to house that work and move it forward in committee is why the name changed and why the structure of the committee has changed. Our other goals in our work plan are to promote public participation through hearings like the ones we had earlier today, public comment session like the one that's coming up, and other opportunities for engagement. We will also advance data-driven and qualitative performance metrics for policies and program successes. So, you know, for example, the climate equity plan has a lot of goals in it, so how do we set ourselves up to actually be accountable to those goals and to implement those goals? Fostering partnerships and holding our policy development and implementation accountable to the frameworks that we have around, specifically around equity, environmental justice and sustainability, mobility, and community safety.
So some of the general topics that you'll hear that we'll be bringing forward to the committee, they will regard climate resilience and sustainability initiatives, something you just heard today, transportation, public works, traffic and traffic management issues, broadband capacity and information technology, special service districts and assessments, bicycle and pedestrian programming. We will probably be talking a lot about recycling, solid waste, and zero waste measures. And also we often bring topics like severe weather mitigation and response. But this are just a few of the topics, but not limited to what you might hear throughout this committee.
Okay, so how we got to the work plan, and the work plan is also posted on LIMS with more detail, and this presentation is also on LIMS. So we made sure to speak with all the relevant parties who would be affected, who have a stake in a successful work plan. That includes all 13 council members to develop a shared list of priorities from the council side, and then leadership from Public Works and from the health department as well to ensure alignment with the work that they're doing. So thank you so much to them for meeting with us and talking through that. And then we sought guidance from the city auditor's office, so the oversight and evaluation division, for how to create, and work towards evidence-based decision making. And we also solicited feedback from community groups. So Climate Legacy Initiative has been and will continue to be community-led. That's really important to me as someone who has been in that community for a while. And so I want to thank them for kind of weighing in on the work plan too. I was happy to present it, in Loring Park last weekend, and at some neighborhood meetings as well. So next, the priorities. These are high-level buckets of work, and then there are more specific examples in the work plan document, and I'll give a couple examples of each. So number 1, expanding and promoting multimodal transportation use and walking, biking, and rolling safety. So a couple of council members solicited priorities under this high-level area is increased participation in transit assistance program, TAP program, so more people can ride transit at a reduced fare. And then also scaling up traffic calming projects to ensure we're, getting closer to our Vision Zero goal of 0 traffic deaths in the city. So number 2 is implementing the 2023 Climate Equity Plan. So as you heard from Deputy Commissioner today, there's a lot in the works there, and we want to support the rollout of performance metrics to make sure that we're achieving the goals that are listed out in the plan. And ensuring also that renters and multifamily units are benefiting from all the rebate and funding models for greenhouse gas emission reduction programs. Number 3 is negotiating the renewal of the city's utility franchise agreement. So in the spirit of wanting to engage the public more, we plan on having educational touch points in and out of committee on how the city exercises gas and electric utility franchising authority in franchise fee rights. Number 4, implementing zero waste. We have an outstanding, zero waste program at the city, but still it's not accessible to all people. Renters and multifamily do not necessarily have composting in their buildings, so ensuring that all residents in our city have access to that, especially in buildings with more than 4 units and commercial zones. And recycling and composting 80% of citywide waste by 2030. Number 5, continuing infrastructure upgrades, so addressing aging infrastructures such as sewer and water mains. And number 6, finally, preserving and maintaining natural ecosystems. So, last committee we passed a really historic contract with Minnehaha Creek Watershed District to support clean water in our city, and also supporting the mitigation of emerald ash borer, and was a council member solicited priority around making sure that we are resilient in our green spaces. All right, budget side.
Yes, I know. I think, Chair Cashman, just because I was here last term and can speak a little bit to what some of the things that we passed in our budget last year, and as the legislative branch, one of our roles is oversight. So this year, this committee will be overseeing the implementation of a few projects here, but these are just not limited to these. I know she did talk about traffic calming, so we did do a budget amendment to bring about $500,000 to support different traffic calming measures. On here, you have $10 million for Climate Legacy Initiative, $4.7 million for weatherization, $1.4 million in workforce training, $850,000 in tree canopy. There's $730,000 for electric vehicle charging stations. We allocated $470,000 for new public works equipment to increase lifespan of our pothole repairs. We allocated $500,000 for a permanent snow removal and storage site. There was $595,000 that went towards a sidewalk snow and ice removal pilot. $2.7 million investment in the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board to repair parkway systems across the city. And that was an increase from $750,000 from the year prior. We allocated $500,000 in annual allocation via the city stormwater fee to fund critical analysis of the park board stormwater infrastructure, and then $1.2 million for the George Floyd Square on 38th Street and Chicago Avenue. So those will be a few different budget allocations that you will also continue to watch and make sure we understand how they're being implemented this year.
Awesome. Yeah, just noting that because of climate change, our budgets need to be flexible. For example, the $500,000 snow removal was not necessary this year. So just noting that, we have to be resilient and adaptable moving forward. So these are some of the guiding frameworks and supplementary documents. We have so many incredible frameworks and policy vision documents at the city. It's really important that we continue to review them, to use them, and be accountable to them. So I won't list all of these, but there is a framework for zero waste. There's a framework for climate equity. There's a framework for community engagement and plans for improvement on all of these. So these are our founding documents for our work. Okay, so the next steps include monitoring the development of the policies and programs included in the work plan and having regular meetings with the staff that report to this committee. This work plan is a living document, so we will update priorities and timelines accordingly, and we will follow the budget committee's process to advocate for possible funding changes during the budget season at the end of this year. And then an immediate next step is the public comment period that will be open today, the Climate Legacy Initiative presentation that was made today in committee. So I think that concludes the presentation. Thank you again for advancing the slides. And do any of my colleagues have questions? Yes, Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair Cashman. Just a couple quick questions. I did not participate in the process of, I don't know, you sent emails gathering. But I was, after watching this presentation, I am interested in knowing why the lead elimination plan assessments weren't a priority on this list. I thought that work in this committee was like kind of the bulk of the work that was going to be coming out of this committee. So just wondering why that isn't a part of the priorities. And also, is there a slide in here that shows the priorities? Like kind of.
Yeah, maybe you could go back to priorities. I believe the lead elimination falls under infrastructure upgrades, number 5, and is definitely included in the longer form of the work plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll, it's a living document, so I'll do the work I need to make sure that it's spelled out in this, because I think it's going to be important. I mean, that's a big part of the work that departments have been doing in North Minneapolis in particular. So I think it's going to be, it's a very specific task, and I think people want to see that we're doing that very specific work and not, continuing infrastructure upgrades. That feels really big, and coming out of this committee, it feels like it's about like streets and bridges and stuff, and not lead as much. So so this is just the list of priorities, not like in any order.
Yeah,
You're
they're not.
ordering.
No, they're not prioritized like one is more important than 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say you've done a good job here. I am, last year last term we had a work plan, and out of maybe 15 goals, only 3 were accomplished. So I still don't get like the work. I'm an overachiever, so I'm never going to set myself up with things that I can't accomplish or overpromise to my constituents. So I still have hesitation about this. I do like that you incorporated, working with staff. You met with staff to figure out like how this is going to work for the work that they've done. And it is going to work because we do all of this already. There's nothing, this work plan isn't putting out anything that is not existing, especially in committee. The other thing is, a big conversation we had today, and Councilmember Chavez said his office worked on it a year ago, is assessments. I think assessments the work around those special assessments needs to be included in this work plan, especially because if there's going to be programming or some work done at the legislative level, like maybe something gets put on our legislative agenda. Nothing was there around special assessments. That was a year ago. We still have a year ahead, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of special assessments to come. So maybe looking at adding assessments to the priorities of this work plan in whichever category it is, and also adding it to the legislative agenda.
Thank you. Excellent point. I think we all would like to look at how the assessments can be done more equitably and maybe what the state needs to do to enable that. I will also note that on Thursday, May 16th in committee, Deputy Commissioner will be back to do a lead elimination action plan presentation.
I'm not speaking to a presentation. I think that's great. I just know that this is a priority for the North Side, and this is something that Councilmember Ellis and I have talked extensively with staff about, so just something that shows that this is a priority for this committee.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Any other comments from Councilmember Chowdhury?
I was just gonna say, thank you so much to you, Chair Cashman and Vice Chair Koski for your work on this. I really appreciated the opportunities to weigh in. I had a whole bunch of ideas just coming into this term on things to work on, and I appreciated that the process that you took. I think these are good North Star goals for us to try to move on in the next 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, we can assess on what we were able to accomplish and what we need to put as a priority following. I appreciated Councilmember Vita's comments about the special assessments. That's what was something that I was gonna note too, that I would love to see in our extended work plan, and I appreciate that this is a living document, and also this is now the Climate and Infrastructure Committee, and we know that with climate change, we have to be able to be nimble and move quickly, this just got me really excited at the end of a long week for the work that we have ahead of us this week. And I think I also just appreciated noting that the special assessments is something that we can initiate a conversation on through our Intergovernmental Relations Committee. I think that's smart, and it sets us up for success down the line.
Thank you, Councilmember Chavez.
Short. Thank you, Chair Cashman and Vice Chair Koski, for your work on this work plan. I am really excited to get to work with both of you on how we can accomplish a lot of these particular goals. One of the ones I submitted was increasing participation in the Transit Assistance Program. It is work that our 311 department is working on right now, and I think it's gonna, one, help increase transit access across our city and make it more affordable to a lot of our residents. And this living document right here is one that's gonna be really productive for our committee. And if we wanna make changes in regards to the comments that Councilmember Vita made, I think it would be wise, maybe we can all work to bring a small little amendment on Thursday next week to add lead as a priority, addressing the lead that impacts north side, it impacts south side. It would be good to prioritize that, and then figuring out what language we can include when it comes to the assessments that matter to our communities. But we can figure that out next week at full council. I don't know if we have to fully address that right now, but I would be supportive of that too.
Awesome. Yeah, we can definitely work on that together. I don't think we need to hold off with that understanding that we'll add it and have some discussions this week. Okay, so seeing no further discussion, I'll move approval of this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The item is forwarded to the City Council with a recommendation to approve. Okay, our final item of business is the walk-on. Number 20, it's an item we added to the agenda in the beginning of today's meeting. This is for authorization to file a request for reconsideration and participate in dockets relating to community solar gardens at the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. So I'll invite up staff, thank you so much, to give a brief summary of the request before us.
Good afternoon, Chair Cashman, Vice Chair Koski, and committee members. My name is Chris Drosky. I'm the Energy Manager for the city. I respectfully bring forward this request for council action to authorize city staff to file a request for reconsideration and participation in dockets related to the community solar gardens at the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. The city of Minneapolis has been a strong advocate and an anchor subscriber to many community solar gardens since the program was created by the Minnesota legislature back in 2013. To date, the city has subscribed to more than 26.9 million kilowatt hours of annually generated community solar. It's about a third of our overall energy use in the city enterprise. And 14.25 million of that 26.9 are on the legacy ARR bill credit reimbursement schedule, which was the first iteration of this program, while the remainder was on the value of solar bill credit, which was enacted at a later date. When we look at how these bill credits take effect in relation to the contracts that we have with these solar developers, we negotiate the prices of our subscriptions based upon these bill credits. The intent behind that was to provide electric rate stabilization for the city and to put us into a positive cash flow position. The primary subscribers that the city has on these are our Minneapolis Convention Center and our water treatment and distribution services accounts. By being an early adopter of this program, we were able to capitalize on some of these bill credits, and we've been a part of this as well as many other local governments and counties all throughout the state of Minnesota. This program has been running very smoothly since the inception of the program, but recently, in the fall of 2023, Xcel Energy proposed switching the bill credit methodology from the original ARR era solar gardens to the revised value of solar reimbursement schedule. This proposal was in response to the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission direction in a docket 13867 to reduce the community solar garden program overall cost. When we analyzed the effects of this change, we realized that this would be a reduction in expected bill credits to the city to the tune of $12.5 million, a very substantial hit over the remainder of the 15 to 20 years of these 20 years of the contract lengths. We've met with many other local governments that are similarly going to be impacted by this ruling, and we submitted comments in this docket expressing opposition to this proposal. In February, the Public Utilities Commission deliberated the proposal and ordered Xcel to decrease the bill credits from the ARR to the value of solar revised methodology for all community solar garden contracts. We've spoken internally with our finance department, our convention center, and our water treatment distribution services, and leadership from all of these divisions feel very strongly that this PUC ruling is concerning, and they support the effort for us to file a reconsideration effort with the Public Utilities Commission to try to preserve the bill credit as it originally stood and preserve the city's economic position. The impetus for bringing this as a walk-on item today is, while the PUC has verbally ordered this, the written ruling has not yet landed. It's expected either this week or next, and as soon as that lands, affected parties have 20 days to respond. And without bringing this before you today, we risk not getting it through council cycle in adequate time to provide a response. With that, I'll conclude my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, and thanks for meeting with my office to brief us on this item. Understanding the tight turnaround and the need to move this quickly. I understand that we want community solar to be beneficial to our city, to our residents, and this is our opportunity to make that even more accessible. So green renewable energy is important, and with that, I will ask Councilmember Chavez if you have, nope, Councilmember Koski?
Thank you, Chair Cashman. Yeah, I just had one, or maybe a couple questions, we'll see. But could you go into a little bit more detail about the pros and cons to the decision and the impact on the stakeholders?
Are you saying in terms of the city or to
Well,
the
solar
PUC's
garden
rationale for doing this
Yeah, I
overall?
guess the solar garden, like what would happen to the solar garden operators and the ratepayers? Like what?
Sure. In terms of some of the effects, it puts a lot of regulatory uncertainty regarding the future of solar garden programs. So as solar developers look to make investments in Minnesota, knowing that bill credit methodologies can change provides a lot of long-term risk. Existing gardens will, with this ruling, will likely see a lot of subscribers asking to leave their existing subscriptions. In terms of this docket, not only did local governments respond in opposition to this, but many residents commented of opposition of changing the bill credits. The bill credits are fundamental in terms of how the contracts are shaped. Many of them are designed to be basically a cash flow neutral or a cash flow positive situation. So when the ARR bill credit got reduced to the value of solar bill credit, which takes effect in April of 2025, many city residents, local governments will be underwater on some of their contracts. Did that answer your question?
Thank you, yep.
Thank you so much, Chris. So I'm not seeing any other discussion on this item, so I'm happy to move approval of this item. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The item is forwarded to the City Council with a recommendation to approve. With that, we have concluded all business to come before the committee. Without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.